Pagemaster Bowie.
Dewey is played by Christopher Lloyd, but Pagemaster is voiced by David Bowie.
Richard,
Look
go to the exit
book.
side.
Look to the books, Richard.
Go to the funkiest section of the library.
Open audition and make a new track. I hit reduce reverb to stop the feedback. There is a danger I can pick for you. More hear the outside noise of the adjoining room. Fifth period. About films that were screening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fifth Period, the film podcast hosted by two media teachers, where today we are tiptoeing that line between live action and cartoon with one of our favorites from our childhood. My name is Mr. Brown, and with me as always is...
Mr. Boylan.
Real blast from the past, Mr. Boylan?
Yeah, so we're talking about the Pagemaster, which is, it's funny because I was like going back and watching a couple of the podcasts leading up to today, and I was listening to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids podcast, and we talked about how the director of that film also directed the live action sequences of this film. And although there was no video, you could see and you could visualize our anticipation and excitement as like, we could do the Pagemaster for Film Club. And do the Pagemaster for Film Club? We have.
We did, yeah. I can't remember if we were able to get any student backing for it, or if we just tipped the scales in our favour for this, right?
I think it was the second one.
Does sound like us. We have been pulling a couple of sneakies this year.
I have, but well, to be fair, we've said to start piling on the suggestions. It's a pretty small pile so
That's
far.
That's true, but it's building now. So
it
must be we did a couple of our favourites, and then the kids were like, no more.
These are terrible.
We better make some more suggestions. But big waves of nostalgia for this one. I told you this was one of my comfort films growing up. Whenever I was sick, my dad would go to Blockbuster or Video Easy and get like the same 5 films. It was usually Toy Story and then just a bunch of Macaulay Culkin films, like Home Alone, this, Richie Rich. You knew when you were sick, you were like, man, I don't like being sick, but get to watch me some Pagemaster.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a similar kind of affinity with this movie when I was a younger lad. I was watching this a lot when I was a kid, very similar, like always from the video store. Absolutely like destroyed the copies I had of it. I had like a really nicely illustrated like picture book that sort of fleshed out the story like a little bit more, and it was has like a good dust jacket. You know, I'd open it, I'd say ooh la la,
Ooh la la. Ooh la la.
But it had like a nice hardcover on the inside and stuff. And yeah, I just love this story. I think, as someone who was very interested into books, particularly as a younger kid, this combination of Macaulay Culkin and book stories and stuff, it was just like, it was kind of like a bit of comfort food in terms of a movie. So when this got brought up as a potential option for Film Club, like I said, I was super psyched about it and very keen to share this, I think, with the kids at Film Club, because it's probably not one that they would have come across, and everyone was like, oh, what's that? They were intrigued.
Be prepared. We're going to take you on a journey, we said.
Yeah, and I think that people at Film Club could see our palpable sort of enthusiasm for it. So they're like, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and with this animated movie that doesn't start as an animated movie, obviously, that they've never heard of.
No.
But quite a few people were pretty keen on it.
They seem to be getting into it.
Reese and Toby said they enjoyed it. Jed was at the front saying, I need to finish watching this film. That was great. So, yeah, bit of love for the Pagemaster, sharing the Pagemaster to the world.
Love it. In addition to our main discussion of the Pagemaster today, we will also be chatting Tantalising Trailers and playing a literature-themed movie mashups. So if you want to skip ahead to any of that, I will leave time codes in the description below.
Hey, it's Archie, and today we're going to be chatting about the Pagemaster.
Big thank you to Archie for his intro today. Now, he introed the Holy Grail towards the end of last year, and he's made his big return. I had Archie last semester for media, and so good. Like, you've only just started teaching Year 9 media now, but one of the tasks towards the end of the semester will be a film in a genre of their choosing. And Archie did a Bond parody. I think it started off as a homage, and then as it got sillier and sillier, we decided to call it a Bond parody.
I'm not really a barber, I'm James Bond. Short back and blow your head off.
But his dedication to it was awesome. Came in with his own suit from home, brought his poker chips in. We used the green screen to kind of make the felt poker table. Just very, very good. So I'm disappointed I'm not still teaching him, but it's lovely to see him every week at Film Club.
Definitely always an enthusiastic presence in Film Club, so good to see and good to get him on for another intro.
Alrighty, let us jump into the Pagemaster. Now let's talk runtime, Mr. Boylan, because we had 3 separate runtimes.
Yeah.
There's the ClickView runtime, clocking in at 1 hour and 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's the 1 hour and 28 minutes that's on Google. And then IMDb has it listed as 1 hour 20. So what's going on?
Lots.
Or in some versions, slightly less.
Yeah. Don't know what's happened with it, because I started watching last night with a version that I procured. And then today I was finishing watching it on ClickView. So I'm like, I was trying to work out, it's like...
What about that whole subplot with Dolores? It's gone.
Exactly. We were joking about coming off the back of another heavily altered film that's on ClickView. I was just like, damn, I missed the scene where like Richard cut off Long John Silver's head and then ate his entrails.
Yeah.
But they had to cut it.
They had to.
Had to cut it.
Too graphic.
Too graphic for the other versions that are also G-rated.
Yeah, well.
G-rated for gore.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of G-rated films, but I must say, the version I watched was exclusively ClickView, because I just couldn't find it anywhere else, and it's pretty nice watching an hour-long film.
Nice lean runtime.
That's it.
We enjoy that.
But still, because I have so much appreciation, my notes are still going to be just flooding.
Me too. That's fine.
3-hour podcast for a 1 hour film.
That's how we do it. That is how we do it.
Alrighty, so we kick things off with credits, and they're in this animation style that kind of looks like it's from old, like, hardcover, classic fairy tale style books.
Yeah, with like the dark clouds and stuff in the background, mysterious and magical. So the score is great, done by James Horner, who also did the score on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
So he'd worked with old Joe before.
Yes.
You mentioned Joe Johnson was getting a lot of mentions on the pod previously, because we had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which he directed, Jumanji, which he directed.
Yep.
We mentioned him for Jurassic Park. He'd done the third one. Mm-hmm. But also, I didn't realize he'd done a lot of like visual effects for Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Iron Giant, all of which we've done on the pod before.
Crazy. So Joe Johnson is like, he's in the fifth period or Film Club Hall of Fame.
We're Joey boys.
We're just big Joe Johnston fans.
That's it.
See, I got this friend named Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
Oh, no! Hey, Joey Jojo!
That's what they call us.
That's what we say. You've also got the animated sequences. They're directed by, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but Pahote Hunt, who also did stuff for Black Cauldron and Fantasia 2000.
Which you can kind of see some similarities in the animation style here too. I love the animation. It's really, really cool. It's quite different to a lot of things that we're used to. Like, it's a more traditional style of animation, but I adore it. Well, I mean, we'll get to it, but the part where the worlds meld together is just a gorgeous scene.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So we meet our protagonist, Richard Tyler, a nerdy kid, afraid of everything, and obsessed with statistics on how people can die.
What a kid. He's a bit of a unique character. Clearly, he's got a massive problem with crunching darts or vaping because he's got a no smoking sign above his bed, just setting the tone.
I really love how hard they go on all of the stuff in his room, like the set dressing, no smoking, high voltage signs around the PowerPoint. He's got a survival kit and a fire extinguisher.
He's got shoes to wear in case the glass breaks from the fire alarm or anything like that.
Amazing.
So if I break the sign because there's a fire, here's some shoes to protect your tootsies.
Oh, dear. So his dad's a little bit fed up that his son's a bit of a dweebus. He's a little too cautious. And we spoke about the idea of the reoccurring deadbeat dad. But in fairness, I think his dad is quite a good guy. Like, he's making him a treehouse, though.
And he's trying.
I don't know that I would make a treehouse for my son who had a fear of heights. Might have missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
just trying like some scare tactics, I guess. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just got to throw him off it or something.
And I honestly think that he could learn a bit of a lesson from Richard and be a little bit more cautious.
Just I think like something in the middle. That's kind of where they just need to get to. So a nice, happy medium.
There's definitely a couple of decisions that he makes throughout this film where I go, I don't know that I'd be doing that as a parent.
That's fair.
Time
That's
will
good.
tell.
I mean, films are instruction manuals for parenthood, as everyone does.
Ed Begley Jr. in this role is great. You can actually really see the frustration. He conveys it really, really well. There's a little bit of like slapsticky stuff in there, but he's just so fed up with what he's saying. He's afraid of tuna fish sandwiches.
No, it's afraid of the mercury in tuna.
Of course.
Easy mistake.
Of course. Wants to get rid of Richie Boy for a little bit, so he sends him to the store to pick up some nails.
Yep. And this is where he's getting all freaked out. Macaulay Culkin does a really good job, I think, particularly setting up the start of this character. I really love the scene where the garage door's rolling up and reveals him and he's like full protective kit. It's like, oh, that's just how bikes look, I guess.
It's so good. The high-vis gear is amazing.
It's pretty wild. This is a big year for Will Mack as well, because he did Getting Even with Dad this year as well. That came out, and Richie Rich.
I love that film.
I really like it with Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Yeah, I really like that film as well. So these were basically his last 3 movies, like as a child actor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, kind of
He
wild.
seems so much younger in this than in Richie Rich. Maybe it's just the quiff in his hair.
And the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, he wears glasses at times in Richie Rich, doesn't he? No. I'm thinking of the kid from The Little Rascals.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's got a bit of Richie Rich about him.
He does. But yeah, he goes off on the super safe bike.
Talking to himself. That was a real staple of Macaulay Culkin too.
Always just trying to have a bit of a chat with himself.
This is not good.
Gets bullied a bit on his way out. I always remember the delivery of one of the lines. Were you trying to ride your bike, Tyra? The moon? And just the way the kid says moon is just like stuck in my brain as a child. So,
yeah. He doesn't want to jump over the old roadworks.
No.
So he decides to go the long way around.
And he's going to go down the tunnel. And this all looks pretty damn cool.
It also looks very familiar. Do you know where you've seen that tunnel before?
Back to the Future?
Yeah, it's the tunnel from Part 2 of Back to the Future. I think it was in Christopher Lloyd's contract that he had to work with that tunnel
This damn tunnel.
in all of his movies. But the library itself is also a familiar set. The exterior of the library is the same as the interior of the science lab that Parker gets bit by the spider in the first Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire gets bitten.
Ah, there you
Yeah,
go.
so that interior with all the pillars is the inside of the building we see the outside of.
Oh, with like the weird whispering teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
In Spider-Man,
That
there you
looks
go.
like he's the same age as all the students.
If not younger. So ends up in here in the library, escapes the rain and the storm. His bike sort of makes a weird sound when it hits the ground as well.
That storm came on so quickly.
Out of
Where are we?
nowhere.
Bloody Melbourne?
True. Works his way back into the library. He's like sheltering from the storm, and then there was like the menacing figure starts to approach from the darkness. And who could it be? It's only Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Mr. Dewey, named after the Dewey Decimal System,
Yeah.
which is great.
Which I'll get to it, but as soon as it came up, I was like, this is fantastic. I'm going to make sure he upholds that decimal system.
True.
We'll get there.
Okay.
But yes, he goes in. He's got no cranial damage, thank goodness. You have to check that out first.
No cranial damage.
But Christopher Lloyd is just killing it in this role. The enthusiasm in which he delivers everything, like it's such a fun performance. He kind of goes through each of the genres. He does a classic Doc Brown and tries to guess why he's there.
Wait.
Wait, I'm getting it. Future boy. But he then gives him a library card. And when he gives him the library card, it's so funny. He's like talking up reading, talking up the books. And then he's like, but I don't have a library card. You do now.
And then eventually it's like, well, actually, I didn't want a book. I'm not really that interested in books, which is funny because like the whole reason I think this sort of movie came about was because the guy who wrote it, Dave Kirshner, was trying to get his kids into books. And so he just got a movie happening for them, which is pretty cool. He's like done like a lot as a producer, like American Tail, some other animated movies. But probably what I know him most from is the fact that he produced pretty much all of the Child's Play and Chucky series.
Awesome.
So
I love that.
Yeah, pretty slippery slope going from the Pagemaster to Child's Play. At least it was for me. So clearly.
That was the next film you watched.
Yeah, Pagemaster, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Child's Play.
Perfect. So yeah, just like Kirshner's kids, he's not interested in books. He just wants to find the phone. wants to find the old payphone. So he ventures further into the library and uncovers the giant mural.
Yeah, at the rotunda. We had to turn west.
Awesome.
So good. Just you immediately get his wonder. Macaulay does a very good job communicating that. The score shift as well. Starts to see all the different characters from stories.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
So you've got your knights and dragons. You've got
the Pagemaster himself.
The Pagemaster himself, who definitely doesn't bear any resemblance to Mr. Dewey. Not at all. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Long John Silver, and Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. I think they're all the ones. As is sort of just teased a little bit as he's walking to the rotunda, still a little bit wet.
Oh no!
So
bit of a slibby floor.
He does, and the fact that he's on a marble floor while looking up, his jacket continues to drip, and when he starts to move a little bit, bang, he slips over, hits the deck.
It's pretty convincing, even though it does feel like an unnatural way to slip over. He does a good fall.
He sold it.
He's had some practice, and you and I both said in film club, the point where he falls and the whole room spins around, we went, oh, here we go.
It's on. It's on.
I hope everyone's watching. Pay attention, guys. This is the good part.
Look what happens.
Just before we move on, that mural itself, the one thing that I had never noticed when I was a kid, obviously, but they're in a real setting. There's actual stacks with books in it as he's wandering through. And then they've done like a composite shot for the mural because obviously they're not going to go into this old building and paint a real mural with a giant Christopher Lloyd head. Look, I want one in my house. Like a Sistine Chapel in the bathroom with Christopher Lloyd's head. But they do a really good job. Like, it does seem to blend into the world really well. It's that shot where he's first walking out and it reveals it, and you can see he's kind of composited on top of it. But, yeah, it looks good. Very convincing. So, yeah, he wakes up, and it's not just his jacket that's a little bit drippy. Also, the roof is a little bit drippy.
It is, because he starts hearing all these sounds of potential clashing of swords and roars and stuff, and then he notices a drop of something. And another one, and then another. And then it starts to sort of expand on his jacket, and he realises the roof's melting.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any anya. You know that classic line from Mission Impossible 1?
Not really.
Ah, well.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any anya.
The mural starts to warp and distort and go everywhere, and then they get these big sort of like gushes of paint.
Goops.
They are. It's all
big
looking a bit
goops.
goopy, and Richard's got to throw off his jacket and then starts to run away, basically. And then the paint sort of swells and swirls up into this like paint dragon. And the dragon gives chase.
I love the look of the waves kind of crashing through the stacks,
transforming the books
and transforming them as it goes. Yeah. Even the look of the floor. I mean, the building itself is beautiful anyway, but I love how much more vibrant everything becomes once it's cartoonized.
Cartoonized, yes.
Cartoonized. They put the building into cartons.
Everything just goes into a carton.
But he eventually ends up back in the rotunda area.
Yeah.
No paint left over there?
Yeah, he's kind of done a bit of a 360. He's got a bit lost. Didn't follow the directions to the phone correctly, like an idiot.
He'll get there.
He will. Then all the paint's basically gone through all the different stacks and converges on him, and he is submerged in paint, and then we go to a big old blue screen.
I don't really know what that's supposed to be. I think they're suggesting that in the cartoon world, if something isn't immediately in front of you, it just fades away to blue.
Yeah. Not fade to black, fade to blue.
Yeah, that's it.
Macaulay Culkin is now being a voice actor because now Richard Tyler is animated. He's not a cartoon, he's an illustration.
He says I'm a cartoon. Does the Pagemaster correct him?
You are an illustration.
My mistake. So Richard meets the Pagemaster, also played by Christopher Lloyd, who points him towards the exit and tells him to embrace the adventure along the way and
look to the books. Which is great. Ends up on a fun little library cart, goes crashing into the phone, which apparently still works in this illustrated universe.
I don't know why he didn't have a phone behind the desk. That seems like the logical place for it.
It was like, well, there's a lost child who's like taking shelter from a storm. Might just let him use my phone. Maybe.
I think so.
Anyway, Mr. Dewey, what a bastard. But anyway.
We meet adventure.
We do.
This is where it does get a little bit confusing. So we had this conversation earlier. The doubling up of names. So Richard is on an overall adventure with a character named Adventure. And as part of this adventure, he will also venture through an individual adventure section.
Everybody got that?
Say adventure again.
Adventure.
There you go. Regardless of what adventure you're looking at, I guess it's It's pretty cool the fact that we get to go on this adventure with Patrick Stewart being Adventure.
Blew my mind. So I only found this out, I think you told me on Friday. I love it. So he's playing an adventure book that's basically a pirate.
Yeah. And he's having the best time.
Oh.
Apparently, first time ever doing voice acting as well.
He's killing it.
Most of the main cast, in terms of the voice cast, had never done voice acting before.
Well, it's kind of like a 50-50 split between people that are voice actors, like very well-known voice actors now,
Yep.
and just traditional actors. And they're all killing it.
Yeah. They're all really, really strong performances. Yeah, we get Adventure basically trying to work out who Richard is or what Richard is, and then works out he's a customer. So, yeah, I am going to help you.
You're going to help me.
Yeah, you can get me out of here. I haven't been borrowed in a while, so let's go. They start to look to the books, and they end up looking up 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, so we immediately kind of see the influence that old Adventure has on Richard facing his fears. Like, he doesn't want to climb the ladder originally, and so he's like, oh, well, I'll just open up 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Get a giant squid to scare you up the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of works. And it continues to work throughout as well. So I think Adventure has the biggest impact on Richard's character overall.
I think so.
And it kind of makes sense that Adventure is the one that helps him find his sense of adventure.
True. It checks out. But yeah, as Richard's trying to go on his adventure up the ladder with Adventure, he ends up having a little bit of a stack, and he's going to fall.
A stack from the stacks.
Nice. But his fall is slowed and stopped because he's holding onto a book that is flying, and we met our second main book, Fantasy, played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Nice. I love Fantasy as a character. She's
sassy.
So sassy. She's like those sassy Nazis we were talking about last pod. But yeah, she is incredible. The lines that she comes out with when we first meet her.
I'm a book, honey. I can read.
Oh, look at that attitude. And then he introduces Adventure. He's Adventure. Honey, that's what they all say.
That's great. And then, I think, she calls him a classic misprint.
Very good.
No,
Brief Dewey Decimal System tangent.
No.
So when Adventure is finding 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you see him go through a couple of different books that he is considering opening first.
Yep.
We've got The Mysterious Island by Jules Verne. We've got Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yep.
And then 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, also by Jules Verne. So these are like well-known classics from the 1800s. So they're not necessarily the kinds of books that would suit the target audience of the film. Like, kids aren't necessarily going to flock towards this. But I really like that those were the choices for the books, because that's kind of the point as well, that kids aren't interested in these classics and that they should be. But it also speaks to developing the film for more than just the kids and being able to put references in there that parents watching along with their kids
100%.
will be able to get.
Yeah, that know this classic literature. They shouldn't be paired with each other, though.
Yes, they should, actually.
Really?
I looked it up.
Yeah?
I looked it up. So, Mr. Dewey absolutely got his name for a reason, because they are side by side in the Dewey Decimal System.
Love that.
Not a system that is based on surname, but instead a system that is based on the category of book. And these have identical numbers all in sequence.
That's really good, then.
I loved the attention to detail, and I just love the references to the books in general. Every time they did make a reference, I noted it down because I was like, oh, that's another really good one. And they come in, like, sometimes they're really, really overt references. Like, when we do meet Fantasy, she says that she's wearing her Little Mermaid underwear. But there's also some that are kind of, like, subtly woven in as well. So I will absolutely touch on them as they go through. But I found it very, very amusing that old Dewey, he's definitely sticking to his system. It's amazing that Fantasy got misshelved in the first place, because he seems very diligent.
And he just was unfortunately skewed off into a tangent.
He's skewed!
Somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985.
They keep sort of following through the sections and trying to work out where they are, and Adventure's like, oh, this is where we are, Baskervilles. And opens up the hand of the Baskervilles, and they are pursued by said hounds.
The Sherlock Holmes classic by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes, and they are pursued into the horror section, which is where things get fun, for me anyway.
The horror section is by far my favourite part of the film.
That's pretty cool.
And there was something about when I was a kid too, like I liked the earlier parts of films because it meant that I had the whole film to go as well. There was an aspect of getting to the final act of a film that felt disappointing, kind of like a Sunday afternoon when you know you got to go to school the next day. You know that feeling.
For students or for us?
Porque las dos. So in the horror section, we meet Horror, who is kind of like an amalgamation of Quasimodo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame and like the monster from Frankenstein.
Yeah. Frankenstein's monster was supposed to be in this movie as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's like
He kind of is.
Well, he's in all of like he's in the games and like the books and stuff. It's supposed to be like a feature, I guess, in the horror part of the.
I didn't realize there were so many different variations.
The Pagemaster lore just knows no bounds.
Maybe Frankenstein is in the version of it that's not on ClickView. I never remember a version.
I didn't see him out there, so.
But his smile is so good. And just like
he's smiling. Going, He's a bit dopey. He's a bit silly, but he's very kind because he's scared of stuff, and
That's true.
and he is horror, but like he's not really sort of embracing.
He's like the Cowardly Lion.
Very much so.
So voiced by Frank Welker, often noted as doing Scooby-Doo stuff, but we've talked about him quite a bit on the pod as well. He is the parrot in Deep Blue Sea.
Incredible.
He's Abu in Aladdin, Mohawk in Gremlins 2, but most recently we discussed his appearance in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids as Auntie.
Yes.
He just plays animals.
He just likes playing animals and the horror. And they find the exit sign and it's like, well, they got to go through this house. And it's like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is like...
Must be a duplex.
So good. I love that line.
But they open up the house and there's lots of good little horror references in here. One of my favourite ones is when the raven pitches off the top. It's like, nevermore!
Reference to the Edgar Allan Poe poem.
Yep, which is fantastic. And then we meet Dr. Jekyll, who is being played by the late, great Leonard Nimoy. And he does a really fantastic job adding like gravitas to this character. I think the mansion is just so cool and so creepy.
Yeah, I love all like the bubbling potions and things. And when he walks behind it, so Horror walks behind it, and then he's like a handsome prince.
That's Frank Welker.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, a young Frank Welker. Hello, ladies.
Crushing it. But yeah, that's basically who that is, which is great. Jekyll's talking about a few different things, and he's sort of making himself a cocktail. And obviously, if you know what's going to happen next. And
but we didn't know.
No.
I mean, this speaks to what I was saying before about the target audience doesn't necessarily know the books that are referenced throughout this. You and I both said on Friday that this was probably our first exposure to Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, okay, he's just a nice doctor. It's all good.
Dr. Jekyll? Dr. J?
He has the cocktail. Pops an olive in it for good measure as well. Yeah. Love that.
Can I have the olive?
Yeah, because it's a man's drink, apparently, and that's Adventure's not letting him have it. Gets knocked out of his hand and burns a hole in the floor, which looks really cool. I love how they're like, no. And Jekyll takes it, but like he's almost like shrouded in moonlight for this bit. And when he has it, big like light sort of hitting him and like body changing stuff. I'm like, looks sick.
It looks awesome. This was always my favorite part as a kid, and it's definitely still my favorite part now that I'm an adult. But I watch it now and I'm like, how was I not more creeped out by this as a kid? Because it's pretty freaky, like especially when he does the "My name is Mr. Hyde" and the eyes
right up to the camera and stuff, and I was like, damn.
It's got a little bit of The Shining about it too, because he's swinging an axe, he's announcing his name right to their face.
True, good call. He's trying to kill them all and accidentally takes down
the chandelier.
Yeah, and there's like fire happening and all this sort of stuff. And then Horror gets caught in the chandelier and we'll go back and get him.
Sanctuary! Another very obvious Hunchback of Notre Dame reference.
A classic one. One of the candles flies off the chandelier and the candle just goes past his face and illuminates his face briefly. I'm like, that looks sick.
It looks awesome. Like the animation is incredible.
Thankfully, fantasy goes in there. And
yeah, so even Richie Boy's not brave enough just yet.
Not yet.
He'll get there.
He'll get there. Wand doesn't work, but it can still be a welding device.
So good.
And frees Horror, and Hyde goes tumbling to his doom.
Sure does.
They try to go one way, and they're like, no, up.
Go past some ghost stories.
Yes, and find their way up to the top, and they're trying to get their way down. The Pagemaster sort of speaks to Richie. It's almost like Obi-Wan in A New Hope and stuff.
Go to the Dagobah system.
Yeah, just change.
Pagemaster Bowie.
Dewey is played by Christopher Lloyd, but the Pagemaster is voiced by David Bowie.
Richard, go to the exit side.
Look to the books, Richard.
Go to the funkiest section of the library. Oh dear. So again, it's Adventure who manages to get Richie Boy to step up here. He baits him into it by saying, even books have spines, mate.
Classic book humour.
I know, and then classic Patrick Stewart putting on his Australian accent and saying, mate.
Mate.
Oh, yeah, he convinces him to, like, spelunk.
Yeah, he's doing some spelunking.
Spelunk down the side of the mansion and right into the adventure setting.
Yeah, so off they go and trying to work out how to get the boat happening. And they're like, I wrote the book on sailing. In fact, I am the book on sailing.
Very good joke.
Which is good fun.
I also really love the set design here, how they incorporate the books into the world. So, like, there's book stairs. He goes up on, like, the cliff. It's a book sticking out of the sand.
It's very cool.
So, yeah, as you said, they jump in the old boat and head on off. And who do they run into?
Captain Ahab. I love how it's, like, all good in the water, and then there's some massive colour shift that happens first. With this dark green.
Good does that look?
And it's like, oh, okay, we're into dangerous waters here. And
it's not the waters that are dangerous.
No.
It's bloody Ahab.
Bloody Ahab, and he's looking pretty crazy.
The black and the red.
Yeah, looking for, obviously, for Moby Dick. And the fact that they go along the boat with all their different reactions, like, he's possessed, he's insane. And eventually, like, he's my kind of guy.
It's so good, too, because obviously Herman Melville, the author of Moby Dick, the whole intention is that Moby Dick is not the villain and that Ahab is. And I like that they kind of structure this scene to be like, oh, he's our savior. Oh, whoa, no, this guy's a madman. But then the only other person who sails the sea agrees with him, aligns with him. And it's like that whole perspective of how they see it.
It's like, I get it. It's fine. You guys don't get it. Okay, this is what we do. We're just crazy people on boats.
It's a couple of crazy guys.
We're just crazy adventures, and it's fine. They get absolutely destroyed by Moby Dick coming out of the water. Yeah. Just nails them. And then they're like, where is he? And then he's under them. The shot of them comes through.
Good shot.
Richard comes up, but the other books don't. Adventure eventually does and joins him on, does a little bit of jacket rose on the board in the water.
Did you feel bad at all letting Leo DiCaprio drown while you were safe floating on the big door?
Kind of mourning the potential passing of fantasy and horror.
Bit depressing here. He's like, I don't have any friends.
It's really sad. Like, he's crying and stuff. It's like, whoa, okay.
Even though they're not dead, it's still pretty sad because at the end of the day, they're just books. You still don't have any friends.
Jeez. Wow, hey, Mr. Brown with a brutal drive-by on Richard Tyler. Oh, wow.
Oh, dear. But they're okay. They get picked up by pirates. The couple of Jamaican pirates at the start.
Picks them up, but they're not nice guys.
They're not nice guys. They take him to Long John Silver from Treasure Island.
Long John Silver's the seafood restaurant.
Robert Louis Stevenson. That's the second reference to him. But God.
It's on fire. RL.
My son Jules.
And Vern. My son R. And L.
And Stevenson. Oh dear. And I like when he threatens Richard on the boat and he's like, I'll show you the color of your insides. And he's like, red, they're red.
I already know what color they are. You don't need to cut me open to find out. But they're obviously, if we're seeing Long John Silver, we know what they're looking for. It's Treasure Island.
Treasure. And do you know which way it is? It's east by the broccoli.
Classic line.
That's a good line.
They were just so confused about it. There's a bit of a mutiny.
Oh yeah, because there's no treasure in the old chest.
No, and then one of the pirates says, "Let's kill him and eat his parrot."
And I was like, "What? Damn. Dark." I mean, I know you were joking about the R-rated version where he chops off his head. I think it might be darker to see a bit of cannibalism in this.
Or just eating a parrot. It might be voiced by Frank Welker as well. Does it in this and in Deep Blue Sea. Same parrot. Who knows?
He might.
It's got the two owners of Long John Silver and LL Cool J. But basically, to break up the mutiny, there's a bit of a familiar, creepy voice coming over, and it's 16 men on a dead man's stomach.
Chest.
Oh, chest. And horror and fantasy have come to the rescue.
They sure have. Adventure is so excited and geared up. It's like, finally a fight. He's like, yar, yar. But then ends up in the chest. He's the only one out of the group that doesn't get to fight. Brilliant.
Classic.
Brilliant. So they knock out all of the pirate henchmen, and it only leaves Silver. So old Richie Boy picks up the sword and doesn't have to do much. He's just like, I'll get you. And Long John Silver's like, I'm out of here then.
You were really threatening.
So much respect that he has for Richard after this.
A mutual respect. and everything's all okay. But Adventure's not super happy that he's got saved by horror and fantasy, and horror's like saying, like, I can be like you and stuff. It's like, no, you're not going to be like me. Basically pays out on him.
How could you not love horror, though?
I don't know.
When he goes to the chest, he's like, who's there? Adventure. Adventure who?
He's just having a bit of fun.
He is.
Let him have some fun.
He just wants some friends. He's like Richard. He doesn't have any friends.
It's true. He's quite dejected, and then he gets captured by the Lilliputians from Gulliver's Travels.
Jonathan Swift book. I don't know if you've ever seen the Jack Black movie.
Nope.
I wouldn't. It's not great. It's not great. But yeah, I just love how many different famous areas of these genres they managed to just slot in really quick. It's amazing when you think of all the things that are referenced in this movie, that it only goes for an hour and 5 minutes.
It's crazy. It's like the whole movie's Easter eggs.
Speeds along.
Marvel fans will love it. Exactly. Yeah, it'd be perfect. But they end up saving horror from the Lilliputians, and they end up all going back on their adventure. Mm-hmm. And we get a big, you're into the fantasy land, and you get the big song, Whatever You Imagine.
What is that song?
It's sung by Wendy Moten. That's what it is.
I was so confused. I didn't really remember this song kicking in.
It's like an 80s power
her
ballad.
One starts working, you're like, oh, cool, we're about to get into the land of fantasy. That song kicked in, I was like,
what's happening?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. She puts Adventure in some drag.
Yep, classic.
Now that her wand's working, that's what she's going to use it for.
I mean, why not?
And yeah, we see some fairy tale characters. So we got Humpty Dumpty.
Yep.
I kind of like the design of those like dancing ballerina things, though. They're like electrical currents.
Yeah, I think they look pretty cool. The fairies or whatever they are and stuff. I think it looked pretty cool. Richard's like, oh, it's Mother Goose. And Fantasy's like, hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Classic.
Very, very good.
He gets his glasses pinched.
He does get his glasses pinched.
They take them into a bit of a cave.
Ooh, the cave at the end of the Yellow Brick Road, too.
Exactly.
Wizard of Oz reference
Very
there.
good. But it's not a cave.
It's not a cave. No, what is it?
It's a dragon.
Yeah, and it wakes and we get a big dragon battle.
You get a big dragon there.
A big dragon. G'day, boys. I'm just a dragon. I'm just having a little nap.
You haven't been borrowing any books? You haven't been putting books back in the shelves not according to the Dewey Decimal System, have you?
Well, g'day, Richie. You haven't been putting your glasses inside my belly, have you?
Have you? Yeah. You haven't been waving the thought and cutting off my teeth, have you?
Anyway, they are able to get away on a magic carpet. So they use
Arabian Nights.
Arabian Nights, yeah. So Arabian Nights. I'm sorry, I've got so many literature references in here.
That's all good.
Arabian Nights is actually part of like a anthology book, and so it doesn't have a definitive author because it was lots of different authors, and it's just titled as unknown author. But yeah, it's part of 1001 Nights. It was like 1001 Nights was the big anthology, then Arabian Nights was a smaller anthology, and then Aladdin is a story from Arabian Nights.
Look at the lineage.
Oh my goodness.
The fact that they're able to get a lot of non-Disney things in Disney things in a non-Disney movie, essentially. It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. And I promise later when we're doing mashups, I won't use unknown author as my author.
Spoiler. But yeah, they use Arabian Nights to get the magic carpet happening, and picks up Richard and they try to fly up the exit while they're getting pursued by the dragon.
She loses her wand.
I know, unfortunately.
Oh, baby. I wish that hadn't happened.
Well, it has happened, Fantasy. I'm sorry to say. And the carpet is torched. And they crash land, get separated a little bit. Richard sort of goes off.
He's a little bit higher up, and the others are in like a cave alcove-y thing.
Which is where
they start to mac on.
Adventure and Fantasy kiss. And then he tries to probably push things a little bit further. He's like, how would you like to curl up with a good book? And gets punched in your dreams.
Oh, yeah, he gets a lot for that. That one line, cops a punch, and then gets completely decimated by the old dragon.
And then he gets like a Salvador Dali mustache as a result.
A little flame. Happy birthday!
And blows out the candle, which is pretty damn awesome. I highly enjoy this. But Richard's like keen to kick on because the exit sign's up there where they're going, and he's got to go back and save them.
Yeah, he's no longer scared. He grabs a sword and a shield to face the old dragon and save his friends.
Which kind of starts
too well.
No, it starts off okay, and he gets swallowed. And that's the end of the movie.
The end. But no, in the dragon's stomach, he finds Fantasy's wand and remembers the Pagemaster's advice. Look to
Use the Force, Luke.
Look to the book. I've lost it.
Look to the books. I think I've lost it.
Bells and spice. Look to the books, Richards.
Look to the books.
Get the funky books, Richard.
Beautiful.
Ben Mendelsohn, what are you doing here? Okay.
Didn't know we were doing an Auntie Donna podcast.
Well, they are in the Dragon's Belly.
Ben Mendelsohn, I'm an accomplished author. I've written some books. I've written a novelisation of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. Auntie Donna doing Ben Mendo.
Truly. He initially gets a book, and it's not the most favourable one. It's Louis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. And
it's not what it's even called, though.
No, it's Adventures of...
Yeah, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Yes.
He's looking right at the cover.
This is true. I wasn't, clearly.
Jeez, Richard. We get the nice off with his head from the Red
And it's
Queen.
like, oh, no, back at that. And finds a more favourable book and uses Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, he does. He bean shoots himself out of the dragon.
He does. He does.
Grabs his friends along the way and goes right on up to the exit.
He's done it. He's done it! Which is fantastic. Basically, the Pagemaster's there, and Richard's explaining what happens. Just goes off.
He gives him a good talent.
And all the books are like, no. He's like, I'm sorry, venerable Pagemaster. You're making us look bad in front of the boss. But the Pagemaster's like, well, you're still standing here and telling me, like, you've gone through all this. You're still here. And
the fact that he's even telling him off, old Richie wouldn't have been able to do that.
I wouldn't have been confident enough to say, I'm not okay with this. And
I love the animation when he's telling him off too. He's like waggling his hips and
very sassy. He's been spending too much time with fantasy.
All the Germans.
That too. All the Germans.
Or those assassin Nazis from the tank.
Oh. But the way that I like this bit at the end of the movie because the Pagemaster is basically showing all the different villains. Jekyll's like, you've stared in the face of true evil boy. Can't remember what all the other characters say, but similar stuff like, hey, you've come through us and you've come out the other side. We're really proud of you.
I think Silver says, you've chopped off my head.
You eat every part of my head. Why'd you do that?
Why'd you eat my parrot?
You're crazy, Richard.
Yeah.
Pagemaster, don't let this guy back into the real world. He's going to go back and kill all the bullies. It's a slippery slope. Well, this is after Home and Alone, but yeah.
Home and Alone. Home and Alone. Classic Australian soap opera, Home and Alone. So he gets back. Speaking of slippery slopes, he's still laying on the ground.
Yeah, it's fine. He takes the books back, so his cartoon self goes back into old Macaulay Culkin self.
Yep.
The books hit the deck. And
I love the look of the real books as well.
They look very unique and different. Like you've got the sort of bigger horror one that's a bit more battered and sort of, toe-eared and stuff like that. I think that looks really cool.
In case it wasn't clear that Christopher Lloyd played both of the characters.
He puts himself...
His head exactly where the mural is.
Perfect. I was like, they're the same character.
Mind blown.
It's like, you've had a bit of a tumble, mate.
Ben Mendo, is that you?
I can't say mate anymore, apparently. But says like, okay, well, you're allowed to take 2 books. And he's like, I kind of made a promise to him that I would take him home. And he's like, a bit weird, but I'm going to get you out of here because you're a bit weird, man.
You're a bit weird, yeah. I haven't been weird. You've been weird.
Imagine that. It's like, he just has to pick 2 and he's like, sorry, fantasy. He just takes adventure and horror home.
I don't really get why they've written that in. It's a conflict for about 10 extra seconds, and I don't understand why that would be a rule at the library.
2 books?
Why...
I wouldn't have gone to the library if I could only borrow 2 books. I struggled enough with a limit of 20.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Because we have books and DVDs.
Well, DVDs.
DVDs.
Now you're bloody speaking my language. Now we're borrowing bloody weeklies from the same
DVD store.
Blockbuster Video.
What did Andy do?
So he heads home.
He heads home.
Without high vis or a helmet. Now, I take objection to this. I get that it's symbolic. He's brave now. He doesn't need it. But you should definitely wear a helmet.
Always wear a helmet, kids.
And if it's nighttime, you should probably wear some high vis.
Put some lights on the bike, mate. What are you going to do? You get hit by a car. That's how the movie ends. It just gets him demolished by a car.
He wore a helmet with the dragon.
He did.
With old Draggy.
He was brave. He knew that it would help him, just like a helmet would help him on the bike. Particularly because he decides, I'm going to do the jump.
I'm doing it from the same direction as I approached it at the start of the film, meaning I'm heading back to the library instead of going home.
Because he's already finished the books, and I'm sick of these books. In the picture book I've got, he actually comes back and the kids are still out and about or whatever. So he does it in front of the crowd and they're all like, yippee, go Richard. Because
goes off the jump and goes straight to the moon. To the moon.
Great jump, Tyler. Where are you trying to ride your bike? The moon.
Oh, dear.
He makes his way home. He's dumped
This
the
is
bike.
good. That
He's
was
fine.
definitely good. I hate that line.
Yeah, not a fan. Not Macaulay's best.
Even as a kid, I didn't think that line was good.
Oh, that's not a nice bit of text.
Nah.
But he just passes out in the treehouse.
His parents are worried sick.
They are, and then they're like, "Oh, that's fine. Let's just let him sleep in the treehouse."
Another bit of poor judgment. I mean, let's not forget, it's not even finished. He just rolls straight out of that bad boy.
It was like, "Don't worry, the books are going to save me." No, they won't, because we're in the real world, idiot. They're not going to happen.
Exactly. You've got no
fly.
friends, Richard.
You've got no powers. You've got no friends. Your parents have left you in a treehouse with like, "Oh, I'm just going to put this little blanket over him." What if he gets eaten to death by mosquitoes, dies from hypothermia?
I don't think this is as happy an ending as it's made to seem.
I don't think so.
They're happy that he's no longer afraid of anything, but he now has an emotional dependency on 3 books and
that he talks to.
Yeah, 3 imaginary friends. So yikes!
Can't wait for the sequel. No wonder this is his last movie for a while.
He was in therapy. And then horror is happy crying at the end.
He is.
Because he has friends.
Yeah, I love the little outro with the silhouettes of the books against the wall.
That is
looks cool.
nice.
When the credits start to roll, it's like, you know what would make this a happy ending? A kiss. And then horror kisses him. Classic.
That line about having friends, that's the same way Richie Rich ends. He truly is the richest boy in the world now. He has friends.
Nice
Macaulay
little,
Culkin's just taking that line to every movie he's in.
Work smarter, not harder.
It's true.
All these 3 films came out in the same year, so...
That man who's playing Gallagher, thought we wouldn't notice. Alrighty, so what'd you feel returning to this one?
I mean, it's really hard not to look at this with like the most nostalgic of nostalgia goggles. It's really hard, but at the same time, it's just like, I watched this film and I'm like, it's good. I don't understand why this film has some really shocking critical reviews. Rotten Tomatoes is like 18%. This is really good. Like, the messages of this film aren't anything groundbreaking, but I think they're strong. I think the animation looks cool. The fact that they bring in
incredible.
The voice acting is really good. This is a good kids' family film, and it's one that I'm glad that we went back to for Film Club, and I'm really hoping that people who came along to Film Club, or even if you saw in the classroom, this is the film we did, I really hope you go check this out, because it's like a really underrated gem, and like, it's kind of weird to talk about a film that was so important to my childhood and yours as like a cult classic. Well, no, it was like a popular animated movie.
It's a good like transition film too for young kids, because it does introduce you to some things that are a little bit more adult, but it also, in terms of the runtime, it's perfect for shorter attention spans.
It whips along.
Yeah. I was watching Toy Story with my niece. By the time we got to the Sid plot, she was like, I'm bored. Let's do something else.
Like, watch the Pagemaster.
Let's watch the Pagemaster.
That's what she said.
It is good because it whips through the story quickly. It changes genre, which means their attention span is kept up, because it's like, oh, now it's something different.
Oh, it's horror. Now it's adventure. Oh, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
It's cool. And there's like you talk about like sort of how quickly the plot moves. There's so many scenes or parts of this film that I just thought were longer. It's a pretty lean film. I mean, good for us, and I think...
Good for the listeners. Don't have to hear us talk about it any longer.
Exactly.
Alrighty, let us move on to Tantalising Trailers.
Tantalizing films. Trailers. Don't know if we will be a fan. How will it be? We'll know in time.
How many trailers you got on the docket today, Mr. Boylan?
I got 3.
Nice. I'm going to do 3 myself. Why don't you kick things off?
Okay. Well, obviously there's been a lot of Disney-related stuff that has come out in the last few days. D23 is a big landmark event. I'll talk about the trailer, but also talk about the big announcement for me for D23 was the fact that they're doing a third Incredibles film, which I am stoked for.
I'm pretty excited about that myself.
Incredibles is my favorite Disney movie, so I'm very excited to see that the story of the Parr family continue.
What can we say? It's incredible.
It is incredible. It's in the name.
We'll get there when we get there.
Live action Lilo and Stitch looks like it'll be pretty cool. I like the design of live action Stitch, which is cool. But I think one of the trailers that might have just come out before D23, but it was sort of tied into the same thing. And it's a new Star Wars show that's coming out on Disney Plus called Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, right.
And some of the Disney stuff with Star Wars pumping out at the moment, I haven't been super big on. I've still got to sit down and watch The Acolyte, so that might change my mind. Things haven't been well received. There's not like a lot of great excitement, I guess, around Star Wars products at the moment, which is a shame. But I watched this trailer and I was hooked like really quickly. So it's still coming from like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. John Watts from the home trilogy of Spider-Man films is attached to this as well. It's got a really different vibe. I've done a lot of sort of dark and serious stuff in Star Wars lately. This is like a complete tonal shift. It feels like Star Wars crossed with Goonies, crossed with early Stranger Things, like very Amblin Entertainment sort of vibes. A bunch of kids basically are trying to find like a lost Jedi temple, and it just looks light. It looks fun. You've got Jude Law playing a Jedi who I think is going to be sort of like their mentor, helping them along the way. And it's honestly, it's probably as excited as I've been for a Star Wars product in a while. Just a different kind of energy came for this one. Looks good.
Awesome. You've actually just reminded me of one by mentioning all the Disney announcements. They came out with the Mufasa trailer.
Yep.
Looks pretty bad.
Didn't watch it, didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, look, I don't like the live action version of The Lion King.
Looks terrible.
This also looked even worse. The story doesn't look like anything I would engage with. The voice acting seems really weird. Very like high-pitched, squeaky kind of characters in what is presumably the Mufasa and Scar roles, though they don't call the character Scar throughout this, so maybe he doesn't earn that name until he gets his Scar, or maybe it's a different character altogether. Whatever it might be, it looked really underwhelming. I just don't care about this plotline. Prequels in general are very hard to get me to care about them because I know where the character ends up. So it's like...
You kind of know the end of the story.
Yeah, exactly right. But that wasn't one that I was actually going to talk about. One that I wanted to talk about because I stumbled upon it last night. And it's called Uglies. And it looks like the newest in the long line of teen, apocalyptic-y, different world, sci-fi type movies. You know, like your Hunger Games, your Divergence, your whatever all the other ones are. And so many of those films for me are awful. I really like the Hunger Games, or at least the first couple of Hunger Games films. The games themselves are really engrossing. But a lot of those other ones, especially like Divergent, just does nothing for me. I assume this is based on a book. It very much has that style, that glossy kind of style.
It is indeed based on a book.
But I just found the title so funny. That's why I clicked on it in the first place. It looks like they're in a world where when you get to a certain age, you have the option to opt in and get some sort of cosmetic surgery to make you look more attractive. But you don't actually look more attractive. You just look like you've got a Snapchat filter on you. That's what it looked like in the trailer. Okay. Anyway, so I'm not bringing it up because it's tantalizing. I'm just bringing it up because it's kind of funny and interesting. And I want you to check it out so that we can laugh about it.
It's got Joey King in it, who I like, so she's really good.
On and off, me too. She was in that new Zac Efron one.
Haven't watched that.
It's alright.
It exists.
It does. It sure does. Anyway, so this it feels weird. Like, I think it's supposed to be a positive message about the way that you look, but everyone that's on the, as you would call them, Uglies team is also being played by really attractive people, you know? So it's like, what message you actually say?
It's true. The wrong one.
Don't use Snapchat.
Can say that to a few students. But anyway, that's fine.
It's a good message. But yeah, those are my non-tantalizing ones out of the way.
Okay. The next one I'm going to talk about is one that you have been more tantalized by because you messaged me about this. And it's the new trailer for Agatha All Along.
I wasn't that tantalized. I didn't put it on my list.
Oh, okay. There you go. So I wasn't sure if it would. So Agatha All Along, like they got a more full-length sort of trailer, sort of seeing what's happening. The whole premise being sort of Agatha's getting like a new coven basically happening and all this sort of stuff, and she's trying to get out of Westview because like this teenager played by Joe Locke is like wanting to face the trials and like become a witch. Yeah, I'm kind of just interested to see what happens. I'm not like super excited for this show, but like Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza are usually like enough to get me sort of intrigued because I really like both of them as actors. So keen to see Aubrey Plaza in another Marvel product. Also as well, it looks like in a very little quick frame or potentially some ties, they might be finally trying to introduce Mephisto, which was like the big sort of thing in WandaVision.
He's going to be there, guys.
And he just wasn't. But yeah, so Agatha All Along, can you see how it goes? There's obviously some other Marvel shows that are starting to get a little bit more information about. I'm actually pretty keen for Ironheart. That looks pretty good with like the Riri Williams character from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So yeah, keen to see a couple of these different Marvel properties and see what happens next.
Nice. Recommendation for you. Woman of the Year. new Anna Kendrick film. I believe she is directing and
Sold.
starring. Oh, you big Anna Kendrick fan?
Absolutely.
Oh, great. This looks really good. It says it's based on a true story, and I actually haven't had the opportunity to look into what the true story is. But it starts off and she goes on like one of those 60s style dating shows where contestant number 1, contestant number 2, or contestant number 3. And it looks like she gets paired with contestant number 3, and he's a bit of a creeper. And so there's just this really eerie vibe throughout the trailer. It doesn't give too much away, but it's enough to really entice me. And yeah, there's something not quite right about this guy, and I do want to look into the real story, but I also don't want to look into it at the risk of it spoiling the film.
Yeah.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't kind of thing. Or I'll be fine. Either way.
We'll see.
But I can watch the movie and then I can do a little bit of research later and maybe I'll have a bit more appreciation for it as well. But I'm always a little intrigued by a true story. How much of the true story it is actually based on always varies, but it has me intrigued because it looks like quite a dark true story as well.
Cool. That sounds like a good time. I'll be keen on that. The last one for me is a very quick little teaser trailer, and that is for The Monkey.
The Blue Monkey.
The Monkey. I mean, it's written and directed by Osgood Perkins, who's obviously starting to put his name in the lights after doing Longlegs, which I'm still hopefully going to see in the next couple of weeks. Based on a Stephen King short story, has Theo James from your aforementioned terrible series Divergent, also in The White Lotus as well.
Oh yeah, I like him.
He's good. Theo James is good.
He's very good in White Lotus. There's more White Lotus coming too.
I've never seen it, so...
There was a HBO spot dropped and it's like White Lotus and The Last of Us. They're all coming back. But I figure we'll have plenty more extended trailers to talk about those.
Definitely. Also got Tatiana Maslany, who plays She-Hulk in the She-Hulk show.
Yep.
Elijah Wood as well.
Oh my goodness.
And who is really like a horror person now and has been like for quite a while, which I really like where he's gone with his career. Post Lord of the Rings.
Awesome.
And Daddy's Home as well is like a really good film. It's basically, there's a creepy vintage toy monkey and some curses and stuff involved. And I'm like, yep, cool, done, sold. The teaser trailer was enough to get me involved with all those people. So yeah.
Righto. My last one is a teaser as well, and probably one that will be an ongoing talk for trailers as they release different spots. Squid Game. So there was an Olympic spot, which was really, really cool. It was like they were doing the 100-meter sprint, and then people start falling and getting gunned down, and then the green tracksuits start to come in. And on the podium, you've got all of the game masters. But this latest one, it doesn't reveal much more than that. We just get a couple of like character reveals, dark room turning around, and a voiceover as well. So I kind of like these types of trailers, like little tidbits to get you excited for it without revealing too much. It's just good to see Lee Jung-jae again. It's nice to just have that anticipation for it coming out.
I'm pretty keen for Squid Game season 2. I really like the first season. I mean, it was very much like a water cooler TV show. Everyone was watching it. All I remember my previous job trying to stop kids in the yard playing red light, green light, and trying to kill each other. That was fun.
Righto. Shall we move on to our favourite game, movie mashups?
Let's mash it up.
They did the mash. They did the movie mash. The movie mash.
It's like a plot theme smash.
They did the mash.
It might turn out trash.
They did the mash.
They did the movie mash.
Wow.
For anyone who has not heard this segment, we will take it in turns to read out pitches for existing movies with a slight twist based on the theme of the week. The goal is to guess the new mashup title, which should be a play on words. Now, because we looked at the Pagemaster this week, our theme for today is classic authors. For example, if I was describing the poetic story of an 11-year-old boy from North England who feels like a hollow man in the prelude of the film until he ditches his boxing class and discovers a love for ballet, you might say the film was T.S. Billy Elliot.
Jesus. I thought you might have gone Billy T.S. Eliot, or...
Oh, well, any variation.
If the ballet flat fits.
It certainly does. Alrighty, shall we jump in?
Sure. I can kick us off.
Yeah, please.
So in this groundbreaking and landmark horror film, a fellowship of teenagers form a party around a mysterious object that soon proves to have deadly consequences. Despite trying to get inside their head, the party of teens seek to throw the object into the fire before they can't let go of the hand.
Alright, so we've got the movie.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with the author.
A fellowship of teenagers, Mr. Brown.
I know, I'm just struggling to remember who writes The Lord of the Rings.
God. Oh, no. Well, it starts with the same letter as the title of what you're talking about. I'm assuming. I hope you're thinking of an Australian horror film.
I am. I'm thinking of Talk to Me.
Yeah, so.
Oh, okay. J.R.R. Talk to Me.
He's done it!
Oh, my goodness.
Talking to me.
Talk to me.
It's Christopher Walken. Doesn't deserve the play.
Nah. I'm not giving that to me.
Okay, fair enough. I won't either. Your turn.
That's fair. Alrighty. In this steamy thriller with murder, betrayal, and lust that feels like the picture of Dorian Gray, a high school guidance counselor is accused of assault by 2 students, jeopardizing his career. But when one confesses to making the whole thing up on the stand, the case is dismissed and he is paid a hefty settlement. There is more to the story, though, when it seems each character is concealing a big secret.
It's one of those ones I'm really going to struggle because I don't know the movie and I don't know who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Uh-oh.
The movie. I can give you the actors from the movie. Yeah.
It has Kevin Bacon in it. It's got Neve Campbell in it. It's got Denise Richards in it. It's got Matt Dillon. So think Matt Dillon, Denise Richards, and Neve Campbell.
Oh, that's is it Wild Things?
It is. Now, who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray? If I said we're all lying in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Very famous quote.
That I don't know. I'm not sure on this one, Mr. Brown, unfortunately.
It was Oscar Wilde.
Of course, Oscar Wilde Things. Very good.
We're 0 for 0.
Oh, geez, we're going well.
Nah. My others are more recognizable, I think.
We'll see. Oh, that makes much more sense. Oscar Wilde Things. Okay, cool. So when a workaholic realizes that he needs to repair his relationships with his son and wife, he tries to make amends in earnest, pursuing a hot commodity in the toy department on the eve of Christmas. Battling a mailman after the same thing, our hero has to farewell arms and push past all obstacles in order to get this toy and find the real meaning of Christmas.
Is it Jingle All the Hemingway?
We're back, baby! Let's go!
Unbelievable.
Oh! Yes! I'm so excited!
Got it pretty quick too, Mr. Brown. Nice one. Jingle All the Hemingway.
That's fantastic. Some of your best work.
Thank you. I was happy with that one.
Oh, very good.
All right, let's see if I can get on the board here.
Okay, all right.
Come on.
After his power-hungry uncle kills his father and takes control of the crown, our young protagonist grows up in the back alley of a city, not knowing the mystery of his lineage. It's not until he pulls Excalibur from the stone that he has his Sherlock moment and realizes who he truly is.
Oh, okay. Excalibur. Okay, so we were going King Arthur. King Arthur Conan Doyle?
He's done it!
You're unbelievable.
Oh!
We're both on the board.
Nice. Alrighty. Here we go. Things at a young boy's home seem to be going as normal, with his toys living in harmony, enjoying their relationship with their owner. However, a power struggle is created when a new toy is brought into the fold, and our main sheriff decides whether to enact war or peace on this new space ranger.
We got a double up. It's Toy Story!
You're unbelievable.
Oh! Amazing.
Love the double up.
Amazing. Same word, same movie. Even use the same clue of War and Peace.
Nice.
Very, very good. I love it. Well, go back to back then.
Okay, so this is my last one then. This historical drama focuses on a set-to-be-crowned royal figure who struggles with his public speaking when the lights are shining the brightest. In order to cause himself even less misery, he employs the unorthodox services of a lingual coach to carry him out of his struggles and into his new role.
Is it the Stephen King speech?
He's got it!
You're unbelievable.
Oh! Yes! Oh, I'm giddy. I am giddy.
That was a new laugh.
Yeah,
He's unlocked a new laugh.
it's like the Ballock Club.
Oh, jeez. I was pretty happy with the clues in that one.
That was very
With
good.
the misery and the carry and the
Very
shining.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Final one.
Okay.
Here we go. This parody focuses on a British spy with little sense or sensibility who is frozen in the 60s and awoken in the 90s, taking with him all his pride and prejudices of the time that he has come from.
Is it Jane Austen Powers?
He's done it!
You're unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, that was a clean run.
We started terribly, but goddamn, did we finish that game well?
Oh my gosh. I'm glad we had the rocky start.
I was like, we're going to be here for another 45 minutes. It's going to be another fourth code moment.
A fourth go.
You
So
have to
good.
stand up and do laps of the classroom.
Oh, mate. That was one of our best.
We
I
were
think.
on it.
Cooking.
we were on it.
Absolutely cooking.
Let me cook.
Oh, dear. With that, guys, as always, I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, comment, share it around. Tell us if you got it. Did you know that it was King Arthur Conan Doyle?
Or Tolstoy's story.
Whole story. I loved it. I loved it. We will head to the glowing green exit sign and depart the library.
And the podcast. See you
Thanks
next
very
time.
much, guys. Catch you at the next film club.